Are you caring for others while working and trying to live your own life? Wondering how to find the time for your own health and happiness? Well, you're in the right place. The Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast, which is part of the Whole Care Network, is the show where real family caregivers share how to be happy and healthy while caring for others. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Elizabeth Miller. I'm a fellow family caregiver, a care advocate, a professional speaker, author, certified caregiving consultant, and certified senior advisor. If this is your first time listening, thank you for being here. This is a show produced bi-weekly to help family caregivers integrate self-care and caregiving into their lives. Each episode has an accompanying show notes page. If you'd like more detail about the topics, products, and resources we speak about, or you want to see any of the related photos, you'll find the show notes by going to the website happyhealthycaregiver.com, and underneath the podcast menu, click the image or episode number for today's show. Now let's get to it. Let's jump into this episode. Before we get into this episode with Kameron Browning, I first have a couple announcements of my own. First of all, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the Happy Healthy Caregiver email list. If you haven't already done so, you are missing out because every week I curate content and I want to fast track you to the information that I think can help you in your caregiving journey. Every week I share something happy, something healthy, something caregiving related. It's easy to subscribe. You just go to bit.ly/HHC news. I'm also grateful for you, my listeners, but we need some fresh reviews for the podcast to grab the attention of other podcast listeners. If you are a regular listener and haven't left a rating or review for the podcast yet, or you're a new listener and you're like, where has this been? I've needed this so. Consider doing so by either visiting bit.ly/HHC pod review, which is in all caps, or simply write a review on your favorite podcast platform. It can be just a quick sentence or two, like this 5-star review from Nicole, who said, "We all need each other and this podcast brings us together." Thanks, Nicole. Your kind words and stars are valuable tips in my virtual tip jar. This episode is brought to you by From Guilt to Good Enough, a memoir about caregiving, guilt, and healing. Jeanette Yates takes you through a lifelong caregiving journey, confronting the emotional toll and offering a path toward healing through boundaries and reflective journaling. Each chapter includes journaling prompts designed to help you examine your own guilt and emotional triggers so that you can heal while continuing to care for others. I found this book heartfelt and empowering with authentic storytelling and practical guidance. It reframes good enough as self-compassion and progress over perfection. Find your copy and delve into the prompts at theselfcaregiver.com/book. From Guilt to Good Enough is here to help you care for the caregiver too. I recently finished this book called You Might Be a Caregiver If... A Dose of Laughter Medicine for the Ones Who Need It Most. And it's written by Susan Rose and illustrated by Margaret Mepps Schulte. You can tell very quickly that this is written and illustrated by two caregivers who get it. It's a beautifully illustrated book that offers a bite-sized, humorous observations about living life as a family caregiver. It's a quick read and a later companion for you to keep nearby so that you know that you're not alone in this journey. And warning, you may start thinking of writing your own book, or at least your own chapters. Maybe there's a few blank pages here on the back, as you recall all the funny things that happened to you during your caregiving day. Sometimes you just can't make this stuff up. My favorite thing that I want to share with you this week is Mahjong. I don't know if Mahjong is all the rage where you are, but learning how to play was on my 20 for 25 list. No one I personally knew really knew how to play. Some think the matching tile game and the app on your smartphone is it, but it's way more involved than that. My mom used to play bridge with the ladies when I was growing up, and I remember how nice the tables looked, and she always bought brand new playing cards, and she had flowers and a special dessert. It was a sweet self-care memory I have of my mom. People say that Mahjong is like bridge, but with tiles instead of cards. There are versions of play, and we play the American version. We hired two ladies who are real estate agents by day and Mahjong instructors by night because everybody was just asking them to teach them. So 12 of my friends learned in my basement, and we have taught others to play sense. My daughter, who lives in Chicago with her friends, also took a mahjong class. So it's something that is spanning, different ages and generations. But mahjong has been around for a long time. It has been popular for years in both the Asian and the Jewish cultures and communities. Former podcast guest, Jen Chan, joked that her grandma is likely partying in another universe playing mahjong. We learned in the spring and have been playing over a dozen times since. It's a great activity for the porch on a rainy day or even on a day when it's just too hot to do anything else, and I'm hooked. I'll link to a couple things. The affordable tiles that I purchased on Amazon, because there are, of course, really cutesy boutique tiles that you can pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for, or there's ones that are less than $100, which is the kind that I have. And also you're going to need the American Mahjong card that you need to play with too. There's a collection of YouTube videos that I'm also going to share in the show notes so that you can try to watch them and learn on your own and to see if this is something that you might enjoy. If you like board games and hanging with friends, I think you're really going to like it. Let's meet today's caregiver in the spotlight. Kameron Browning is a resilient sandwich generation caregiver and single mom from Oklahoma who's caring for 5 people besides herself. She's navigating life between supporting her father, Jim, who lives with Alzheimer's disease, and raising 4 children from toddler to teenager. Over the years, Kameron has worn many caregiving hats. She's been a remote caregiver, an in-home caregiver, a support caregiver, while balancing work and family life. After experiencing caregiver burnout, she's redefined self-care as simply giving her brain a chance to rest, letting go of people-pleasing, tuning out unsolicited advice, and leaning into advocacy, trust, and intuition for herself and those she loves. Enjoy the show. Hi, Cameron. Welcome to the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
Going great. I'm so excited to talk to you. And we were starting our call, and I'm like, I feel like I know you, because a lot of us are connecting on social media and supporting each other, and we get to see these little moments of each other's lives. I know it's not everything, but we're gonna get into all that. But I'm just grateful. I know sometimes when you're a caregiver and a mom, you've got to move mountains to be here. So I just
Girl,
thank you so much.
we've been trying to do this for like 2 years now. So my apologies. Oh my gosh.
That's okay. That's okay. It happens. It's happened. So we're going to get on to all of the things, but I like to kick things off with a little bit of inspiration, motivation,
Yay.
empowerment from the Happy Healthy Caregiver jar. Let's get your thoughts on this, Cameron.
All right, I'm ready.
It says, be gentle with yourself. You're doing the best you can.
Whoo.
Be gentle with yourself. Did you need to hear that today?
I think I need to hear that every day.
I know.
I can say it all day long to other people, but I'm probably the worst at doing that for myself. Man, it's hard to be introspective sometimes. Yeah, you do deserve grace. We all do. We are all people and we're doing this all for the first time. None of us have ever done this before. Like, I try to remind myself that all the time that there are no right and wrong ways as long as you're showing up with all the love and care you can. And yeah, it'll be good. So we're all human. We're all
We're
doing it.
all
To the first time.
human.
Be gentle.
Be gentle. I mean, I remember feeling like you're never doing enough, right? I
Mhm.
never felt like I was doing enough.
Yep.
And you're juggling a lot of things. So something's always kind of falling short. It's like this I stool like talk about or
Yep.
things like that. But if you can look at the mirror every night and you say, gosh darn it, I did the best I can. I gave it my all today and I'm still standing, like
That's a
high
win.
five her.
Yes, all around.
Yeah. Yeah. High five that person in the
Yeah,
mirror, which is you.
absolutely.
Well, Cameron, share a little bit about your story with us. Who is Cameron? I know some people call you Cam because it's your handle on social is Jim Cam Fam.
Jim Cam Fam, because that's what I'm about. My dad, Jim, Cameron, and my family, my 4 kiddos. Jim Cam Fam it is. And single mama. I've been doing it mostly on my own for quite a while now, and caregiver to my dad who has Alzheimer's. He was diagnosed back in 2014, and it's been a roller coaster. It's been a journey.
2014 was my spiral year, so I can certainly relate that we were both like in different states
Yeah.
and swirling like Tasmanian devils.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
out of
And we didn't
control.
even know, like, we didn't know of each other back then. It's
No.
crazy to think about how many of us were going through the same kind of similar things at the same time. And I think that social media, and why I love this so much, is because we have really been able to realize that we are not in it alone. There are, I
Mhm.
mean, social media has just opened everyone's eyes. And I think it's allowed us to give each other and ourselves more grace and more understanding because, if we live in our own little bubble, we think that it's the only, we're the only one it's happening to. And it's not. It's happening all over. It's a worldwide epidemic.
Yes, it's accessible. Like, social media makes support and
Yeah.
community for caregivers accessible. I love what, former guest Kitty Norton and the filmmaker for Wine, Women, and Dementia said that, until there's a cure, there's community. And I think that's not just true for
I
dementia,
love
that's
that.
for everything
Yeah.
because, like, we are being, pushed beyond the limits,
Oh,
frankly.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
it's too much. And what were you doing before? I mean, you were mothering, but were
Yeah.
you working before you became a
Yeah.
caregiver? What was
Um,
happening there?
So I worked in the banking world for a while, and then I worked in daycare, care
Okay.
again.
For children?
Yes,
Okay.
preschool teacher. And then when I had Ella, she's now 10, I stopped working. So that, yeah, I was able to just be a mom. But then that year was a big year for us because my dad had just been diagnosed in 2014. And then Ella was born in 2015. So
Um,
I was working, I stopped working, I had Ella, and then boom, it was just like, go, go, go.
yeah, it was like a treadmill or a
Yeah.
hamster wheel. That's how I feel.
Yes, hamster wheel. Yeah. I thought I was gonna have a little bit of a slower wheel, but no.
No, that's what I say. It never slowed down. It would slow down, but it would never completely
Never
stop. It would
stop.
just be like,
Yeah. And if you have to jump off for a while, it's a struggle to jump off because the wheel is still spinning and you're like, okay, jump off and back on.
it is. It's so much. You've been, juggling other things there too. And I know that, like, part of your journey from following you, first you were a support caregiver, your dad lived independently, then he
Yes.
moved in with you and your children, and then recently he has made another transition that I think I'll talk about all of these transitions because I think people think that, like, when you're a support caregiver or you're supporting someone who's living in a community, like, all good, right? Like, it's only the at-home caregivers that are really, in the grind. And I want to hear it in your words. So
Well,
I
I
have
mean,
my own opinion.
so I was guilty of having that mindset too. Because, okay, so I was started out when I started caring for my dad. We've always been really close, my dad and I. He was always more like a guide and a friend than a parent. We've always been close, but we had a different kind of relationship. He was not like the typical like disciplinarian. He
Mm.
was more like quiet and like helped support everybody, but wasn't ever like in the spotlight, of my upbringing. And so I started taking him to doctor's appointments. Actually, I started meeting him at doctor's appointments first because he was still driving. So I would
Mm.
meet him there. I would accompany him grocery shopping. I started to pick up his medications, do his pills. And then it became, okay, he's not driving anymore. So I'm taking him to appointments. I'm doing his shopping for him. I'm, taking him wherever he needs to go. And so it started out just like twice a week, and after it was like, okay, the more time went along, it was once a day. I would go in the morning and then in the evening, I would get a text from my dad or a phone call that says his TV's not working and
Mhm.
he needs me right away because the TV was his entertainment.
Lifeline. Yeah, yeah.
And so it would be either I have to go back a second time or wait till the next day. And then, yeah, before long, I was there every day.
And
And
you're
then,
and you're and you're a mom. You're a mom
yes,
while you're
yeah,
doing
and
this.
I'm a mom, and I'm
Yeah,
a mom,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
going through my own. Like, I got divorced in that time.
Mm.
I started dating another person. I got pregnant. I had another baby during that time. Yeah, there was still no like Cameron time. It was all
Mhm.
about other people, really. So yeah, and then in the spring of 2022, he had a bed bug infestation in his
Oh, geez.
apartment. And
You can't make this stuff up.
you cannot make it's real life. You cannot make it up. It's life. I mean, I've said several times, like, my life could easily be like a Lifetime movie. Like, you just cannot make it up. Me and my sister and my youngest dad, actually, because I was dating him at the time, we cleaned it. We discovered, just mounds of, yeah, you cannot make it up. I think that they had gotten in through the air vents because this was a really old building and one of his neighbors had been struggling with that, and it just found his way in. My dad was like OCD, cleanly, like super clean.
He was in the military, right?
Was in the military. He was in the
Yeah.
military. He was trained that way. He made his bed every morning, had every hair in place. Yeah. But so when we found all of the infestation, it was like a gut punch. I mean, it was like, "Oh my gosh, how long have I been letting him live like this?" I felt the most tremendous amount of guilt, and it was really hard to deal with. So,
I'm sure just so again, you're enough. You're doing the best you can. Like they're hiding it from us too, right?
yes,
Like my parents were great at hiding what was really happening when they lived at a distance. And you're talking to them on the phone, and you're hearing one version of things, which is why as a remote or distance caregiver, I really advocate for somebody to be the boots on the ground, whether
yes.
you're hiring it or it's a friend or a neighbor or somebody. But
Mhm.
anyway, I just had
Yeah,
to give you grace there a
yeah,
little.
yeah, thank you. Well, once we really dug in deep, we realized what a chore this was going to be. Most people probably know someone with dementia that are watching this, podcast. Any kind of big change usually sends them into some sort of a spiral. I mean,
Oh.
and I was prepared for it. I told my sister, I said, I'm prepared for it. We've been talking about, it's about time for dad to probably come live with me because we had already decided that. I was a CNA in my past life. I was also a caregiver for my aunt with emphysema before she passed away. I have the experience. And I had the desire. I wanted to do it. And so we'd already kind of planned it, but it was like, boom, oh, it's right. It's the next step. And so
Yeah. How
we
about
started,
now? Yeah.
yeah,
How
exactly.
about now,
So,
Cameron?
right.
Yeah.
So instead of cleaning all of my dad's stuff and in preparation to put it back in, we just were like, okay, this is a great time to just go through it all, get rid of what we don't need, salvage what we can, and just get them out. And so that's what we ended up doing. So, and the house that I lived in, I was unprepared. It did not have an extra bedroom for my dad. I was like, okay, so now I'm scrambling to find a new house and pack up me and my kids and move. It was crazy.
Yes.
I think I must have like disassociated for most of the time because I don't even feel like I was actually in that
I
situation.
can relate to that after my
Yeah.
dad passed away and then moving my mom and brother and selling the place and like, how did we do it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just adrenaline. Like and it just adrenaline gets me through, I think. So, yeah, so he ended up moving in with me, and
Where did you find space for him in your home?
so we found a rental house that was in my sister's neighborhood, and it had a fourth bedroom, and he was able to have his own room and his own it was almost like an apartment, like off the side of the house. I mean, it was attached, but it was like it had its own little room or door, and he had his own bathroom and stuff like that. So that was nice.
And is he resisting any of this? Like, especially like think about going back to even the driving, like, is
Yeah.
he rolling with the change or
Okay, so my dad has always I don't know if it's just me, but he like anytime the doctor would just tell him something, he's like, "Yes, sir, that's what I'll do." So, and we decided to start talking to him about what was going to happen years before.
amazing?
Yeah, so we were like, we had the conversation about eventually him moving in. He was never diagnosed, but I suspect he's on the spectrum somewhere. So preparing him for what was coming was, I feel like, really important and really helpful in the journey because it was like it almost became his inner dialogue. Like it was like I just this is what's going to happen. This is the life we're about to live.
Yeah. He
No,
needs that processing time. It's my brother's neurodivergent and
yeah,
on the spectrum, and, like, yeah, he has to process things for a while before, and get
yeah,
used to the idea of it, and then it's like
yeah.
you're planting these seeds a little
Right.
bit.
Right. And so, and then with the car, you mentioned car keys and stuff. So we lucked out. My dad, man, his car was his baby. He is a car nut and he had a Toyota, like Toyota. It's like five in a row. Like that's all he's ever owned. And his last car was his fifth Toyota. And this will just give you a little bit of an insight to who my dad was. His license plate said fifth toy. That was it
He's
was his.
loyal. He's a rule
Mhm.
follower, he's loyal,
Yes.
he's following directions,
Tell me
and
that's not autistic. I mean,
yeah,
he was
yeah,
like,
and the
yeah,
military thing, I think, like, the
military, yes.
structure, both of those things were probably, in your favor as a family caregiver for that, and okay, so dad moves in, you've got the kids, like, how are the kids handling this? How are you handling this transition?
So, yeah, it was tough. My dad and my kids have always been really close. My dad was a super involved grandpa, papa, we call him. We always lived close physically, like just a couple miles away. So we saw him often. He always got down on the floor with my kids and played. He was a very hands-on, ha ha, just love them to pieces.
Yeah,
So the kids quickly changed their role. It was really almost disheartening to see and experience because they became little caregivers too.
mhm.
There's absolutely no way around it. I mean, there really isn't, especially with me being the only like adult in the house. My son was 15, I think, at the time. And then my daughter, let's see, yeah, so she was like 15. He was 15, and then like 11, 7, and a baby,
Okay.
so yeah, they all became little caregivers and he was now in their space. And he was curious and touching everything and moving everything around, fixing the rug every time he would go past it was a lot. And they
You think he felt, like, out of sort because kids make messes and they leave their stuff around, and
Yep.
for my brother to live with other people who are doing that, like, the pillows aren't right, the shoes aren't there, but it was he angry about it or he would just handle it?
he
And
would just want to handle it.
yeah,
And the kids would be like, Papa, you don't have to mess with that, or Papa, don't touch that, or, like, and after a while, I was like, guys, just let him be. He's not taking it away. It's not going out of the house. It's fine.
yeah,
So the kids had to let over a little bit of their control too.
and maybe it's giving him purpose, like,
Yeah,
something that he
yes.
feels like he's
Yes.
helping you in the home.
Yes, yes. So after a while, I thought that as well. I was like, okay, I got to give him some chores. I have to give him some purpose. So
Yeah,
I remember we had this little waste basket or like laundry basket, and I bought just like cheapo towels and washcloths for him to fold. And I remember it was just like he would fold them, and then I would take them and put them away, but I would actually dump them on my bed in my room and have to unshake them and prepare them for the next time I needed
the
him
next oh,
needed him to be busy. So yeah, we found a lot of little things like that. I mean, he was a big TV watcher, but even TV didn't really like entertain him
mm,
anymore. And so yeah, we had to get real creative we expected the unexpected. If it was one like the constant was that there was no consistency. I mean, it was yeah. And I will say we found Life Senior Services here in the Tulsa area. They are a adult daycare and we were able to get some funding to put him in there a couple of days a week. And
okay,
so
good.
yeah, so that was an interesting transition. He did not want to go at first. He did not want to stay there. He had no interest in it. But after a time or two, I learned to change the way I approached it. I said, "Hey dad, you're volunteering at the senior center today. They need your help with this at the senior center today." And changed it into giving
Mm,
him a purpose. He was needed. And that really helped a lot. Yeah,
language is everything, I
it
mean, I think
really is.
I had a similar situation with my brother going to an adult more of a work program, but he's
Yeah.
volunteering, he's stuffing
Yeah.
newspapers or doing jobs, but they also do activities there, and it was a hard transition, and now he does like it. It's not perfect,
Right.
but I do think that language matters, and so it bothered him he wasn't getting paid for a minute, and explaining the volunteer work and that this
That
is
is
you're
so
helping
great.
people, you're a role model for the younger. He's one of the oldest people there. It was not dementia focused, but more for people living with disabilities. So, yeah, but now we're going through the same thing with him living in potentially in a community for people living with disabilities. And the language is like, look, good news that they really like the week of respite you did. They want you to come back. They see you as a big helper. It is so much about like reframing it and
Yeah.
how do you want to
Yes.
receive this?
Yeah. Because no one wants to feel like they're being put somewhere.
No,
I
and
mean,
abandoned and
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, framing, wording is everything. I agree.
Yeah, so he did and how did the funding happen for that? People will probably wanna
So,
know that.
yeah, absolutely. So, I encourage anyone, and I live in Oklahoma, so I am only familiar with things here, really, but I always tell people to look up their area
Agency,
agency for aging.
yeah, they're AAA, they're yep,
Yes, triple
and
A.
I'll put a
Perfect.
directory link in
Yes,
the notes.
yes, yeah. So one of their volunteers or employees came to our house and they interviewed me, they interviewed my dad, assessed him to see what his needs were, and based off of his needs and abilities, there's a grant and it's a big pool of money and it's based on donations. So the amount that you get changes per quarter, but there's this big pool, and depending on how many people sign up and how many people donate, is how much funding you get. So completely out of pocket for me. It was such a blessing. I mean,
Yes.
incredible. I could go to doctor's appointments by myself. I could go grocery shopping by myself. I
Mhm.
could maybe plan, a date with one of my kids. Or, it was so important in my journey.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he's getting
yeah,
social engagement
oh,
and
he would come back with art
yeah,
projects and, painted rocks and these stories. I loved the stories. He would come home like it was a day of work and he would be telling me all about his day at work and his frustrations and, and his joys. And it was a sweet time, to be honest. I mean, and the people there grew to love him. And some of them are still followers of mine and keep in touch and watch dad on his journey. And it was just a really special, it was
I
a really
love it.
time. Yeah.
Were there other resources besides the grant that the AAA afforded
Yeah.
you that
So that was the only, so we got to choose. We could choose to have a caregiver come into the house for a few hours, or we could choose to use it at the daycare center. So
okay,
we used it at the center because my dad is a veteran and he also got some caregiving services through the VA.
perfect.
So, he was allotted, I believe, like 18 hours a week of a caregiver. They hooked us up with an in-house, aid service, and we were assigned one caregiver. We went through one before we found the one we loved and we stuck with. And Sam, her name is Samantha, and she was a part of our family for, 2 years. And she really grew to know my dad and my family. And she was such a blessing. And she was there like a couple of hours a day, a couple days a week. And it was interesting. I had the hardest time giving over the reins to her. And most of the time, I would either have to make sure that I was out of the house when she was there, or I had to just commit to just being involved and having an extra set of hands because I tried to control a lot.
I mean, I think it's innate in a lot of caregivers. It comes from a good place. We want things to be easier. We want things to be, efficient. But a lot of caregiving, I felt like for me, was also learning how to let go of the
Yeah.
reins, and I'm still doing it. Like I'm in a new season with my brother, and the other day I'm thinking, oh, I can't do all this stuff. I need help. So, I asked my other brother, hey, do you mind taking him to? My brother still drives, and
Yeah.
can you get him the Georgia license? Because we've made the
Good.
decision recently to have him live in Georgia full time, And, I thought it was gonna be a burden, and my brother was like, "Yeah, sure, I gotta go renew my own anyway," and
Why do we wanna
so
control it all?
I don't know, but it is that thing, it's like, "Okay, I have to do that, it's
Yeah.
an hour away from me, it's complicated." Well, you've mentioned some great things there, like, veteran benefits, the area agents on aging, you also mentioned how the first professional caregiver you had wasn't quite the fit, and so
Yeah.
it's, advocating for like, "Hey," because if it's a fit, it goes so much better that,
Yeah,
if they connect and get along.
absolutely.
So good for you for advocating for that. And then, okay, so that was, I know we're like really simplifying life. Like that's all you did, Katie.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it was seems like it's working out, but then, we know you had your drama and your challenges through that process. And I can't, for years
Yeah.
you lived with him in the house. And then I know recently you made the decision with your family and the circumstances that was going on that it was time for another transition.
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
This was hard, girl. This was the hardest decision
And
I've
it's still
ever had.
fresh, so it's still hard probably.
Still hard. I beat myself up and questioned myself so much. So, about a year after he moved in with me, I had a mental emotional breakdown.
Oh,
I was not getting any sleep. What he was a roamer. My dad he wasn't a good sleeper. We tried sleeping medications, we tried natural things, we tried just all the things and he would not sleep. And he was exit seeking. So we had to get special locks for the door and obviously just make sure he was safe while he's up roaming in the middle of the night. So I would never get any sleep. So went through this emotional kind of breakdown and I was like, man, we're going to move him. We have to. I'm not.
yeah.
And then I chickened out.
Sleep is critical.
It is, but I chickened out. I didn't do it that time. we got
Okay.
we got it really close. But then I was like, no, I took a break. I took some respite time and it got
How
refreshed.
did that look like? I wanna pause you there. Was it
Yeah.
family that
Yeah.
relieved you
So
or
at this time, my mom, his ex-wife, so my mom, she's a saint. She came in and she took my place for about a week,
okay.
a little bit less than a week. I was probably like 4 days actually. And I
They were
took
all like, "Oh."
Yes, I
Yeah.
know. It was
Yeah.
like everyone thought that they wouldn't survive without me, but they did. And we all made the best of it. And I came back and I was more intentional. I was more present. I was refreshed and ready to go. Came back, things were just still with Alzheimer's. It's one step forward, two steps back, one sideways, one up, down spiral. You never know. He had a fall, just things happen. And so then about a year after that, I was just really not getting any sleep. And I didn't realize how much it was affecting me
Everything, everything.
until it did. I fell apart. And we decided to get more serious about placing him in a home. I did not ever want to do that, but I've struggled with mental challenges, anxiety, ADHD my whole life. And I knew that being a single mom, I am it for my kids. I knew that my dad would see it. Like I kind of tried to picture his lucid, well self looking down on me. And I wanted to do my best to please that man, to do what he thought was best. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that he would have been like, Cameron, put me in a home. Like, what are you doing? Take
"Stop
care
the
of
madness,
your kids.
Cameron."
Yeah.
Yeah,
He would have been like,
yeah.
stop. I'm fine. Go. Like, do your thing. So we got serious about it. We went and toured at the veterans home that is about 30 minutes from my house and we really liked it for it being a facility. I obviously didn't,
Yeah.
I wasn't like happy about it, but it was a really easy process because he was a veteran. They took care of a lot of the paperwork. My sister helped with a lot of the paperwork. She did a lot of the research behind the scene phone call stuff because I'm still taking care of that. Um, and the day, it was the day after or the day before. Now I can't even remember. It was the day after Christmas, I believe. No,
Okay,
no, it was the 23rd. I'm sorry.
okay.
It was 23rd. It was December 23rd. We moved him in. And he had this like lucid moment. when we were signing all the paperwork. And he told the staff member that was helping us, he was like, these two girls right here, I trust them with everything. I mean, he was like, he said, yep, just if I don't understand, these two are your girls.
I saw the video. Like, I actually have it linked already in the show notes because I know you were struggling with that and how amazing that that happened for him to be able to, like,
Yeah.
"They got me."
And we didn't even tell him that morning. Our aide, Samantha, she was there. We took pictures, we had breakfast together.
Yeah.
And me and my dad left. We left the door and
Mm.
he never came back and he didn't know he was moving. And a lot of people, I mean, I got kind of a lot of questions about that like how did you prepare him? Well, I didn't. I just told him that's what's happening. It was just a matter of fact thing because at this time he
He
was
would've forgot that you prepared him.
exactly like in the
Yeah.
beginning it was
Yeah.
different like
It's funny,
explain.
but not funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, totally. I'm like, "Why would I waste my energy on that when he's not gonna remember?" And so, yeah, so by that point, I told him, I was like, "Alright, this I'm dropping you off at your apartment, and this is" I mean
I think that's a key again, language,
yeah,
apartment.
yep,
Like,
right,
you're going to a facility. A lot of people don't wanna go to a facility. They wanna
right,
go to a community. They wanna go
yeah,
to an apartment.
yeah,
They
language
live
is yeah,
it's
absolutely.
so, yeah, so hard. I know that that was tough for you, and I know that it's something that you still and you know, you're resonating, you're impactful on social media with other caregivers. I I was flabbergasted. I looked I'm like, "She has over 80,000 followers on TikTok." I mean,
It's crazy.
your story's clearly resonating, but also sometimes with that comes unsolicited advice. How do you handle the unsolicited advice?
Girl, let's talk about it. I've been waiting
Yeah.
for this. Let's talk about it. Okay, so I started posting on social media because I was inspired by two other caregivers who were sharing their story. And I'm a very creative
Who are they? Chris
so it was yeah,
Chris McCabe,
Chris with yep,
who's been on the show because they may
yep,
have been on, and I'll
yep.
link them.
She's been in my home. We've met up in Chicago actually last month.
Amazing.
She is so near and dear to my heart. And then Bailey Rose was also sharing with her dad at the time. And I was just in awe of their openness and their willingness to put their life out there. And I was, like I said, I was a creative person, but with my dad, like I was just so busy. I used to do a lot of crafting, a lot of sewing. I was just always busy. And my dad and my kids were really just taking up a lot of my mental energy and my time,
Mm,
obviously, which not complaining about. It was just the season I was in, right?
yeah.
But I was like, I need to have an outlet somehow. I need to create the joy that I want to feel, the connection, the community. I need to create it. And so I made a little compilation video of my dad and our story up to that date. And it got a lot of traction. I mean, out of nowhere. And then I think the one that really went viral was and like got a lot of attention was when my dad's ex-wife was at my house and my dad walks in and he has no clue who she is and asks to be introduced to her. And my mom didn't
Again,
say,
funny, not funny, but
but
yes,
not funny, right?
real. Yeah,
But
real.
it was so like we laugh because if we have to keep from crying. I mean, like that's kind of like my whole family's
Your
motto.
your mom was probably like, "Whoa, he really erased me. No, I didn't
Yep,
get
right?
divorced, I got deleted."
Like
Yeah, yeah.
So caught her off guard, but I think we were all amazed at how well she just went with it. I mean, she was
Mm.
a champ and it was just really nice to see the community in that too. Like my mom was a big support for me and my kids and my dad through this all. So I yeah, just
You
was like
started sharing
I
and
started sharing and yeah, with sharing comes criticism. I started getting a lot of, "Oh my gosh, why are you showing your dad like it's such I mean, save him some dignity and all this." And at first I let it bother me But because I'm a people pleaser. I care what people think. And I try not to, but it's just innate. It's in who I am. And I would give people my reasoning. I would comment back to everybody. I mean, it was like I could not leave one comment unanswered. And finally, I started, well, here, let me tell you this part. My dad was a photographer. Okay. The camera was in my face all the time. I was his favorite subject. He was always posing me for something. He was always videoing and taking my picture. So me and my sister kind of laughed like, turnabout's fair play. Like, it's our
Yeah.
turn now. And plus my dad, before he lost most of his senses, he we joined every kind of program and study and research that he could,
Mm,
to, further understand Alzheimer's. And I know in my heart that he would approve over and over again. People still get kind of touchy about me sharing some moments where he makes a fool out of himself, or he says something that might be inappropriate, or one time he hit on me and people lost their mind about that. And now I let that be a motivating factor for me to continue sharing, because dementia, unfortunately, in all of its forms, is not something that you can help. It is something that happens to you. You cannot choose it. It chooses you. And there are millions of people struggling with the same thing, and no one's talking about it. And they think they're alone, and they don't know different ways to handle certain situations.
mm.
And they kick themselves because they think that they're the only one that has screwed up a conversation with their dad. No, me, I've screwed up a million conversations
Yeah.
with
And
my
here
dad.
you can watch it.
Yes, exactly. Right. And here I've put it. Yeah, millions of people have seen. Like, I want people to know that it's not something to be ashamed of, and they're not alone. I mean, we as a society really need to learn how to speak to people with dementia and just help.
Yeah. Well,
It's
and you're not
beautiful.
going on, like, "Hey, I got all the answers, follow me for all the answers." No, this is my journey, this is my story. You might see yourself in
Yep.
pieces of this, and I just want you to know, like, I see you, I feel you. Here's how I handled it. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a great way that
Learn
day or
from me. Or yeah, and either
yeah.
way, good or bad, like, here, don't do what I did. This is how it worked out. Or,
Yeah,
whatever.
try it on, and everybody's
Yeah.
different, and it's not your dad that's hitting on you, and it's the disease that is doing, and so you are advocating for caregivers and advocating for people living with dementia, and absolutely, your situation, like, you put thought into it. He is a photographer. He was not a super, private person. He's, a connector that likes to chat with people and
Yes.
things like
Oh
that,
my
so
God. Yes.
very consistent. I think, listen, we're not for everybody. I'm sure there were people
Yeah.
that find me super annoying, like, okay, you know, there's
Huh.
63 million caregivers in the US, as we just found out with the new stats. I'll share the new stats in our
Oh my word.
that came out this year, and, maybe we're not a fit for everybody, and it's like,
Nope.
okay,
Yep. Yeah.
yeah,
Keep scrolling. Just
keep
go to
going.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I don't have to be for everybody. I know I'm not.
Yeah, and then other times it's like you hear it from a little bit of different people, but I do think there are some do's and don'ts that you have, Cameron. You are an expert in caregiving. You're in caregiving for your dad in particular, and you have learned a lot about being a dementia caregiver with this disease that you could potentially help other people who are maybe way back in early
Yeah.
Cameron season.
Yes.
So
Oh my
what are some of the do's and don'ts that you've learned about, being a dementia caregiver caring for someone living with dementia?
advocate. Speak up. I think a lot of people feel like they're stuck doing things a certain way, and you're not. You listen, this is your life. You have one to live. You have got to find what works for you and your people and speak up. Don't be afraid to ruffle some feathers. If it means doing what is best for your family, your person, like your situation. I cut people out of my life during my caregiving journey. I did some things that normally would not be kosher with even myself. But
Mhm.
because of my situation, I just had to suck it up and be like, okay, this is what I need right now. You've got to stop the people pleasing and please yourself and your person that you're caring for. And the advocacy now is huge because I'm caring for my dad afar. And so advocacy is huge now. This week has been a really busy caregiving week for me.
What yeah, give us an example of how you've
So
advocated recently.
my dad this week, I went to see him. I knew he needed a mustache trim and a little trim, a haircut. I went up there with my daughter this week, and man, the instant I saw him, I knew something was off. His fingers were swollen,
Mm,
and he doesn't really have a history of arthritis or anything like that. So his fingers were swollen, and his gait, like the way he was walking, was just totally off. He was like slanted to the side. And seeing that and knowing that I'm not going to be able to monitor him and I have to leave knowing that something's going on was incredibly difficult. The nurse came in. I mean the care I had to go get someone to go assess him like come, and I
how about now? Come with me now.
yeah, come with me now. This is important. And they had a fall in the unit when that was happening too, and that was more important, really. I mean, they had to all
Mhm.
tend to that, and so I had to be patient and take some breaths. And I ended up just cutting my dad's hair while we were sitting there waiting for them. They assessed him. The nurse was great, but I don't feel if I would have been like, hey, I want, like, you can't just write this down in notes. I need to see some follow up. There needs to be some action to make sure nothing's going on. So I requested a UA, a urine analysis. I requested blood work to be done. My dad has a history of TIAs, mini strokes. So I was immediately looking for all of the signs, like lifting your hands, smiling. Is there any droopiness, slurred words? So I had to do all of that. Turns out they did do the UA and the blood work. And guess what? There was something there. So I am so thankful that I trusted my gut.
Yeah.
Even even if, and I think that's important, you said some do's and don'ts. Trust your gut. I really think that when you're in a caregiving role, like I'm a believer, and I think God puts you there for a reason. Whatever you believe in, the universe, whatever. I believe that you are where you're supposed to be right when you're supposed to be there. And you're equipped for that. It's down in you. You just
Yeah.
have to let it out. So I trusted my gut. I, asked for testing. And if I hadn't, my dad could maybe be in the hospital because of a bigger infection that they didn't catch.
Mm.
And so, yeah, being familiar with signs of things is really important. Knowing that, yeah, just trusting your gut when something's off, because a lot of people try to tell me, well, it's just the progression of dementia, like it just happens. Well, you're right. There's
Maybe.
maybe
Yeah. But
also,
let's rule this out. Yeah.
right, but, like, if there's something, and we're at the point in my dad's care where it's very palliative. We're not trying to make him better. We are
Mhm.
trying to keep him as comfortable and healthy as possible for the life he has left to live, and so we weren't really concerned about having scans for a possible stroke or anything like that, but that is something that we needed to kind of explore whether that was a possibility so that we knew to keep looking for something else, or, okay, that satisfies.
We're accepting this, what you're
Yeah.
saying here.
Yeah.
Well, good yeah,
Yeah.
good for you
So,
for all of,
yeah.
that advocacy and trusting your gut, and
Important.
I wanna spend a couple minutes talking about your self-care 'cause, we first of all, do you hate that term?
Hate. Yeah. Hate.
Yeah.
Because number one, I feel like, I mean, this is horrible, but I think just as a human, as a woman, as a caregiver, I don't feel, I mean, I know I'm worthy of it, but I don't act like I'm worthy of it. Like, I don't. I don't live in a headspace where I am thinking of myself. I live in a headspace of I am thinking for others all the time. So I have to be really intentional about self care.
Like yeah, like, may hate the term, but to understand and accept
Yeah. Yeah.
that it's important because 'cause you've seen what happens, right? You've lived these experiences,
Burnout, crash.
burnout, and you worry, you're like, even if we're initially not doing it for ourselves and we're like, "Okay, I'm not showing up as the person I wanna be for other people," if that still gets you in the
Yeah.
right spot and get
Yeah.
doing the things.
Yeah.
So
I think
what
that,
did
like,
what does it look like? what were the ways where you were able to kind of be intentional and infuse self-care maybe when Jim was living with you at home or even, now? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I did like when he was at home with me, I tried when we had the aide at the house, I tried to be really intentional about making sure that I was spending some time alone for myself or, doing something that I enjoyed, tending to my plants, doing some sort of a craft or maybe go shopping, just something where I didn't have to think about anything. I could just let my brain kind of relax. So, it didn't need to be anything extravagant. It didn't need to be, going to a spa. It was literally just letting my brain relax. And
Mhm.
that was really helpful because I still see what happens when I don't when I'm not really intentional about letting my brain relax and turning the caring side of me off a little bit. And
Yeah.
my kids, they can tell when I haven't taken enough time for myself. I am a little more short with them. I'm more grumpy. I'm not as understanding. I am not as fun as I want to be as a mom, being really intentional about just calming my brain. I don't have a lot of time or resources to get away. It's, hey, guys, I'm going to go sit for an hour at the restaurant with my iPad and I'm going to watch a show and you're going to watch your brother. And,
Yeah.
I'm just going to breathe for a minute. So it doesn't look fancy
Change
from,
of scenery or yeah. I love the way you put it, like, you're letting your brain relax.
yeah,
Because sometimes I call it, like, anything that brings me joy, peace of mind, or energizes me emotionally or physically is kinda my
yeah.
definition of self-care, but letting your brain relax kinda has that it is peace of mind, but and it is a way for you to show up with energy, but it's a very it just I like the way you phrase that. Yeah.
Well, and I think what I realized about myself, I mean, I have ADHD and I just am my brain is very overactive. It has a hard time catching up with itself sometimes. And
Mhm.
so even here right now doing this podcast with you, I'm having a hard time. Like I am looking at all the things around me that I could be doing.
Like, I gotta organize that,
Like,
that needs
oh
to be
my gosh,
cleaned.
just
I'm tired of
chill.
looking at that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's real. I think we all struggle a little. I
Yeah.
don't have ADHD, but lots of multiple things happening at the
Yes.
same moment, and sometimes I'll, like I remember early on in my marriage, not my marriage, but when the kids were smaller, my walking by my husband and be like, "What's in your brain right now? Like, what do you think?" Like, I'd walk by on the couch, he's, like, sitting and he's very helpful. I don't
Yeah.
wanna give the impression that he's
Sure.
not.
Sure.
But I'm like, "What is in your brain right now?" He's like, "Well, I'm just, thinking about, you know, what I'm gonna eat or the break." And I'm like, "Let me just tell you, these are the 16 things in my brain right now." Like,
Yep.
that's real. And so, if we had this, like, little word bubble over caregivers, I'm sure
Yes.
there's so
Oh my
many things.
gosh. My
It'd
brain
probably be
like
scary.
rat's nest. It's like a rat's nest.
Yeah.
It's just like I feel like I'm juggling 5,000 things all the time. So,
Yeah. It's so hard, it's so hard. I wanna, ask you a couple
yeah.
prompts. This is from my journal. No
Yes.
wrong answers here, Cameron. It's called the Just For You Daily Self-Care Journal. I'm hoping to put more intention on people's thinking about their own health and happiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the most exciting thing happening in your life right now?
Got a new job. I
Got a new job, what are you doing?
I work at a bank again, so I'm kind of back in the corporate world a little bit. It is a smaller bank though, but great people. I was so nervous to jump back into working a job, I've been caregiving for since Ella was born.
Yeah, which is a
Sure.
huge job.
Yeah,
Was it hard to with the bank, like, putting your resume together and getting back out there? Did they give you any resistance? I mean,
um
I know we have lots of skills as caregivers,
yeah,
but
yeah. So putting my resume together was interesting. I am grateful for social media because I have kind of turned that into a little bit of a business. And so I had skills. I've worked with, large companies and brands and had to do some of the more like legal and paperwork part of it. And
okay.
so I have a little bit of experience. I gained some
For
experience.
digital content, like, you're an
Yep.
influencer, whether
Yep.
you like,
Whether
wanna
I
call
like
your
it or not, and I don't like it. I don't like that
well,
word.
I'm an accidental influencer,
Yeah.
you can be one of
Yeah.
those, yeah.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, putting it together was interesting. I interviewed a couple of different places. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to go back into the banking world, but I was really just waiting for the right fit. And I was offered a position at this bank and then I turned it down because I was just so like, I don't know if I can do this. Can I be away
Panic.
from my kids that long? Can I, can I still be intentional with my dad? Can I still, visit him multiple times a week? And I just didn't feel like I could fit it all in. So I actually turned down the position. And a few months later, I was looking again seriously and I was like, okay, I'm going to reach back out to them because they really wanted me and I turned them down. So reached out to them. They had a position available. They were like, I'm so excited to have you. And they welcomed me with open arms.
Okay,
I,
perfect.
I was so nervous. I was so nervous, but they instantly turned into a part of my family. I love it. They're amazing people. And they get that I'm a caregiver and that I'm a mom and a daughter first. And I have the ability to step away from what I'm doing if I need to and take care of situations with my kids or my dad, which is really important. I had to do that multiple times this week. So being offered grace in my workplace has been a just huge
Yeah,
blessing.
yeah.
It's been so refreshing.
Yes, they do exist, caregiver friendly jobs
Yes.
and things out there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Super thankful.
get the one that works for you in your situation for sure. I was going to ask you like what's your current favorite outfit to wear, and I think maybe it might be what you've got on.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah.
If it's not my caregiver shirt, shout out, right? I love seeing all the caregivers wear a different color of this shirt. It makes me so happy. It should be our like uniform.
Yes, I have a white one. I will link to it so that people can get
Yeah.
from Hey Caregiver, Donita Brown. And I think that one's her caregiver shirt. It's
Love
beautiful.
it.
So yes,
So, favorite thing to wear, you will find me in biker shorts and an oversized t shirt all day long. Like, if I'm at home, that's probably what I'm wearing. It was interesting having to dress up for work again every day. I found a dress at a big retailer that I love and it's comfortable. I seriously bought it in like four different colors and I rotate them and I call it my work moo. And
yeah,
just
perfect.
I feel I'm like, "Oh, thank God I can be comfortable at work." So, oh, yeah, I'm in a
Oh, you
work.
might have to share the link with me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
everybody needs a comfortable. Does it have pockets?
Yes, it does. It has pockets.
It needs pockets. I
Don't have to
know.
iron it either. You can just shake it out, hang it up, and go.
And
It's
you can
perfect.
just like Roy G. Biv your whole week, like so you can keep straight of
Absolutely.
what which color you're wearing next. I love it.
Yeah,
I think as caregivers and busy people, and I know I felt this way as a sandwich generation caregiver working, you want less decisions, less to
yeah.
take care of. It's like how can we make things easier, simpler, and the decision fatigue is so real.
Oh my gosh.
And so that is a way that you're like, I don't have to think about it. This
Yeah.
is what I'm wearing.
Yep, yep, and it's comfortable. I struggled with, like I wanted to, like, be in style, back in the day when my kids were younger and I wasn't caring for my dad, like, I would have makeup on all the time, I was trying to be fashionable, and now I'm like, "Give me comfort." Is it comfort?
Yeah.
Is it comfortable, and is it functional? If it's those 2 things, I'm good.
Well, those of you who are looking for digital influencers, this is, yeah, Cameron's sweet spot. But definitely send us the link because I know people are
Yes,
going to ask me for that.
absolutely.
Awesome, one more question.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer if you don't want, but have you been dating while caregiving?
No! So, yeah, so that is a little bit tricky and interesting.
Okay, I can imagine.
Yeah. So, number 1, do I even have time for it? Like, and mental space?
Yeah,
But I have dated a little bit. I am still not super comfortable with like putting it all out there
yeah.
for the world to see. It still feels very like intimate
That's
and
you hold
like
that back for you.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
good for you.
And there's challenges in it. There are things that, yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of in a space where now, especially starting a new job, that I really have less and less time. And
Yeah,
I had to kind of like step back and sort my priorities again. And so that has kind of like moved a little bit to the back
yeah.
a little bit. And
Never ends. We
yeah,
always are resorting
yeah,
and the clarifying the priorities. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. And if
absolutely.
it makes sense and it's something you know you want, my mom, her first husband died of cancer, and then there was a 6-year break before she had me and my other sister. She did remarry, met my dad, and she called him her hero. And so if it's meant to be, I hope you find a
Yeah.
hero,
Yeah.
that's willing to not like take you apart, but like, hey,
Yeah.
come into this
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
let's get our hands dirty
Yeah.
together. If
Yes.
it
And
makes
that's what we all deserve, right?
Yeah, yes. Well, you are I'm grateful for our conversation, Cameron,
Me
and
too.
we could certainly keep it going, but we've gotta tie it up so that it makes it accessible for other people to
Absolutely.
listen to. So, but any parting words of wisdom for caregivers, and then certainly where should they go to find you, to connect with you if
Yeah.
they're not already connected?
Right, right. If you're not connected, please connect. Words of wisdom: be easy on yourself and advocate. If you don't like the way something is going, change it. We are the ground, like we are the people to change it. Things are in our control. There are things that are out of your control, but I think within that realm, you can adjust and change. So be open to adapting, adjusting, be easy on yourself, even though I'm not super easy on myself all the time. Do as I say, not as I do. And then as far as socials, I am Jim Cam Fam across all platforms. Jim Cam Fam on TikTok, Jim Cam Fam on Facebook, Jim Cam Fam on Instagram. So yeah, find me there and follow along and enjoy the
Yeah.
chaos that is my life.
Yeah, and be sweet while you're there.
Yes.
Be sweet to her as well. Thank you so much, Cameron. I hope that, I'm excited to see what happens in the next year journey. I know you're gonna do, you're a great advocate in this space. And so I just really appreciate the
Thank
work
you.
that you do for your family and for our community.
I'm so honored to be in this position. It's something that I never thought that I couldn't have planned it, but I'm honored to be where I am, really.
Yes, it is. It's got a mixed bag. I wouldn't trade it for the world either. I think that for sure. It's I mean it makes us grow.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast on the Whole Care Network. I hope this episode provided encouragement and practical tips to infuse into your life. You'll find the show notes and all the resources mentioned at happyhealthycaregiver.com. I also invite you to check out previous episodes of the podcast that you may have missed. If you enjoy the show, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Ratings and reviews also help others discover the podcast, and sharing with a fellow caregiver is a great way to spread support. Stay connected with me between the episodes by following Happy Healthy Caregiver on your favorite social media platforms, and subscribe to the weekly newsletter where every week I share something happy, healthy, and care related. Just visit happyhealthycaregiver.com to join. Until our next episode, I'm Elizabeth Miller with a reminder to take care of you. Are you still here? Well, it's time for the disclaimer. I am not a medical, legal, or financial professional, and I am not providing medical, financial, or legal advice. If you have questions related to these topics, please seek a qualified professional. I have taken care to spotlight family caregivers and experts, but their opinions are theirs alone. This podcast is copyrighted, and no part can be reproduced without the written permission of Happy Healthy Caregiver, LLC. Thanks again for listening to the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast on the Whole Care Network.